Hi, I'm Bart Hansen. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the instructions in the video description.
Yep, so I have a hand for you from this is a Sandia Casino in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay.
It was the 5-5 uncapped game.
5-5 uncapped. Ooh, in Albuquerque. Nice.
Yeah.
I have only driven through New Mexico. I've heard that I'm not missing much in Albuquerque, but there's an artsy scene in like Santa Fe or something like that.
Well, I'm my experience is more like yours. I was just passing through on the tail end of a road trip, so I'm a visitor. I was just a visitor myself.
Okay. So 5-5 uncapped.
And I've been at the table about 30 minutes when this hand happens. I'm on the button, and there is a UTG1 open limp.
Okay.
And then I just had UTG3 or MP2 raises to 20.
Okay.
And I have 9 of diamonds, 9 of clubs on the button, and I raised to 60. I re-raised to 60.
Okay, how deep are you guys?
The open limper covers a 3K. The razor has 500, and I have 1.7K.
Okay, so you've got 1,700. We got a deep limp. This guy only has 500.
Yeah.
And you decide to 3-bet here to 60, which, I mean, obviously, I think it's fine. I mean, you're going to get into an awkward, probably stack if the guy calls, the MP1 guy calls. I mean, it'll be like, $130, and you'll have a couple pot size bets left, but that's fine. It seems kind of like a weak raise here. I don't know what the standard straight open was, but 20 over a limp doesn't really seem all that strong to me. And you want to drive the other guy out too.
Yeah, and the razor he'd already tried to pull off an ill-advised bluff, and I had called him down. And he seemed kind of splashy, so I was happy to take 9s against him.
Okay, so you 3-bet to 60, the limper folds, I'm assuming?
Well, no, the small blind, who we can describe, he ends up folding eventually, but he's a VIP, and he cold calls a 60.
Okay.
With a $600 stack.
Okay.
And then the limper calls.
Limp calls, okay.
Yeah, with the big stack, and then the initial razor calls.
MP1 calls. So 1, 2, 3. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 ways, and the pot's like 240, right? Something like that.
Yeah, 240. I called it 250 with the.
Okay.
I think. So the flop is 9 of hearts, 7 of clubs, 3 of hearts.
So you flop top set. Not a bad flop for pocket 9s. Right?
So, yep, correct. And everybody checks to me.
Mm-hmm.
I bet 125.
Okay.
Small blind calls, UTG1 calls, and the initial razor folds.
Wow. So you get 2 calls. You 3-bet with 9s. You flop top set. You get 2 calls. I don't know if you ever watched Live at the Bike, but the last time I was on Live at the Bike, this happened to me like in the first hand I played in the Barry Woods Fish Fry game where I had kings, and the board came out like king dry, and I bet, and I got 2 calls. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm playing on that game on Thursday too. So 375 here in on the flop. So the pot is probably like, what, 625, something like that, right?
625, correct. Yep. And then the turn is the king of hearts.
Ooh, that's a bad card.
So front door flushes, comes in, small blind checks.
Yeah, just before you even get to what happens, I mean, when the small blind calls next to act and you have most of the 9s, I think he's heavily weighted towards a draw, right? I mean, I don't know how these guys play. I mean, if you say the small blind's a VIP, then he could maybe have any pair or have a 9, but there is a very good chance that somebody has a flush draw here, right? Because you have all the 9s. So this is a really, really bad card for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So small blind check, and now the UTG1 bets 250.
Okay. So I'm assuming you call.
I call,
Yep.
and small blind folds.
Okay, so now the pot is 1125. Looks like you've got about, what, 1200 left, something like that. You have just over a pot size bet left. Does that sound
Right.
about right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so the river is the 6 of clubs.
Six of clubs. So it's nine of hearts, seven of clubs, three of hearts. You have pocket nines, king of hearts, six of clubs. Pot's right around 1125. Yep.
And UTG1 bets 800.
So UTG1 bets 800 into 1100, right? Something like that?
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's one of these things where, and we've had a couple of sort of, we had actually the video that went up today. We're going to have Sean actually, he's going to be our last caller who plays high stakes, but the video that we put up on the YouTube channel today on August 19th was him having top set and then a flush coming in on the river and whether or not he was going to call. But that was at a really high stakes game. And I was just like, you got to call. You got to call with some hands.
That last week?
Yeah, and we put it up today. I was like, you got to call with some hands. I mean, it's really hard for me to figure out what this guy has because usually what ends up happening is people who have bluffs here. Now remember, the small blind also called on the flop, so it's not like he's just heads up with you to the turn, right? And the thing that people will do is like they'll take the stiff ace of hearts and bluff with it. But this guy limp called, like, what ace of hearts hand does he have here that's offsuit that's a limp call? A lot of people misconstrue that. Now, if the guy is, like, totally crazy and he's just setting up this play where he, like, check calls with, like, ace 10 with the ace of hearts, it's one of these things where it's like, so be it. Now, in an optimal setting, are you supposed to fold this hand? No. If it was a typical 5-5 game, by the way, I'm really excited about this. We got permission to use footage from this new stream for Crush Live Poker videos from Jacksonville Best Bet. And I was reviewing the game actually before the call-in show. And I'm excited because it looks to be like a normal game. What I mean by that is it looks to be like your typical Casino 2-5, not some of the crazy shit that we see on Live at the Bike and Stones. And if I'm in like a typical game here, I think I actually might fold. I don't know how I can. I don't know if. I mean, I know the bet on the river is pretty large, but I think I just give it to him. You don't know anything about. So you're not a regular here, right? At this place, right?
No, and it's actually the villain is a woman, maybe 30-ish.
Wow.
And she seemed to be, but she was sitting, but cash plays. She was sitting with a bunch of bills. She seemed comfortable and regular, she seemed like a regular. She knew everybody there and so on.
I mean, here's the thing about. I mean, listen. People are gonna, of course, in this PC world, you get it depends. I mean, there's definitely racial stereotypes I make about different ethnic groups at the table without seeing something. I'm talking about their play of the style, and also whether it's a man or a woman. By the way, I always have to point this out because everyone thinks it's funny. The people that tilt the most, and I've played with everyone, the combination is usually Korean women. That's if someone were to say, hey, what ethnicity? Now, with women, sometimes they'll play weak tight, but then you'll see like a different class sometimes where it's like, hey, she's got a lot of money. Maybe she likes to play loose aggressive and like look like she might make that play with the ace-10 with the ace of hearts. But I would just sort of default to thinking she's got a lot of flushes here, and I think I would probably fold. What ended up happening, by the way?
Well, one more thought. I was thinking, with the VIP and the small blind, I mean, she bets the turn.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she
right.
can't really just start running a bluff there. I ended up folding, and I never found out what she had. But I was thinking, my other question I had for you was, let's say you're in that spot, if you're in her and Dylan's spot, and you have the nut flush, what do you think about the river sizing? I just thought that could never be like, that could rarely be the right size to bet if you have the nut flush there against what my perceived range is.
I mean, this is where like one of these things where when somebody takes a sizing where they're like really, really they're really polarized, in a spot like this. I mean, the pot's 11.25 and she's betting huge. Sometimes, like, if you want to look somebody up, you do it with like aces with the ace of hearts, because you're like, what is this? She would only do this with the nut flush. She can't have it. Sometimes that hand becomes more of a call than pocket nines does in a spot like this. If you're really looking at a true polarized situation where someone is representing the nuts or not the nuts, then the sort of the strength of your hand actually is secondary to possibly like what hands that you have that block what they're representing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But you never found out what she had though.
No, but I will say that this was only like a 30 minutes into the session. I played like 3-4 hours, and she was not lagging.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she limp called 60 pre-flop, so
yeah,
she sort of continued that pattern. She woke up a few more times, and she seemed to have big hands.
I mean, I think the truth serum for this hand, I think you pointed it out correctly, is that you got to fish in the small blind. So she'd have to like start running a bluff against that guy too and you. It just seems very unlikely. But yeah, the sizing is probably a little bit on the suspect side, to be honest with you. I don't know if I would take like a super large sizing in that particular spot, but I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.